The James Show Podcast.
Got some ugly news from Austin in the special session. It's going to be another special turd in the punch bowl. It's going to be just like the regular session. They're going to go out there. They're going to waste a whole bunch of time. They're not going to pass the priorities that the Texas voters are asking for. They're going to strangely pursue other little niche policies that nobody's asking for. And you're going to end up paying for it all. Your taxes are probably going to go up. Congratulations, the aristocrats. A great example of that is in the House of Representatives. They adjourned after a 10-minute opening to the session, and they're not going to re-adjourn until tomorrow. So for the first week, after 10 minutes of statements, they decided for their first act of business, they're going to make it a 2-day work week. Now, we're in a special session. We have scarce amount of time here to accomplish a few legislative priorities that are in the governor's proclamation. And the first thing you do is take 3 days off. All right, so they're not taking this serious. We already know that. So we can go ahead and in the context of that silliness, what's actually going on? Well, on the Senate side of the Texas legislature, they're looking at lowering your property taxes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're looking at that other big priority that the voters sent them down there, school choice. They're not working on that. What are they working on? Making THC illegal again. Okay. Let me hear some of this argument. I'm sure it's sound. I'm sure it's scientific. I'm sure it's, based on constitutional principles and airtight.
What are we going to hear from law enforcement today?
You're going to hear a lot of stuff. Law enforcement can tell you that it's the new meth.
New meth?
My sheriff's departments in my area says we don't see the drug of the old. We see these hemp. And the problem with that, THC issues, is you don't recognize it. It's a different flavor of how people were.
So now THC is the new meth. Great. We're in the old reefer madness era again. And for those of you who
smoke weed every day,
very funny, that may have spent most of your life with THC being illegal just across the board, it's been legal in some form or fashion in America. How long do you think it's been legal? Colorado passed medical marijuana legalization in, it sounds wrong, 2000. We've had a quarter of a century of legal weed somewhere in America. And where's the big fallout? If you are in the state of Texas legislature today, the best evidence you have is Colorado. You have 25 years. You have an entire generation of access to legal weed. You would be reading statistics from Colorado. You would say in 1999, here was the crime rate, or here was the drunk driving wrecks, or here was the something. Do you have any of that? No, you don't. If the numbers were in favor, that's what you would be saying in Austin right now. There are 32 states with some form of legal marijuana, and something like 20, it keeps changing, but I think maybe it's around 20 that have it legal just for recreational purposes. I don't know when the last time you went to New York City was, but you can smell it.
New York City!
Shut up, not today. You can smell it when you're walking down the street. The first time I went to New York City was 2006, and I remember when you would walk down the street, every once in a while you would walk through someone's cigarette cloud. Now there's no more cigarettes. Every once in a while when you're walking down the street, you walk through someone's weed cloud. And seriously, the weed clouds outnumber the cigarette clouds in my anecdotal experience walking around in New York. Wouldn't you be using the data from these places, these jurisdictions, to make your case if the numbers were on your side? Oh, see, that's the beautiful part about federalism. That's the beautiful part about a decentralization, the locals getting to make whatever choices they want. And if 50 different states do 50 different things, then we actually have a body of evidence where we can pull from and we can make the case. See, we told you X, Y, and Z was going to happen, but this happened instead. Or we can tell you X, Y, and Z happened and we were proven correct. But whatever they were saying in 1999 and 2000 about, the scary parts of reefer madness, legalizing weed in Colorado, if they were correct, this is what you would be hearing in Austin right now. You're not hearing that. Also, the incredible claim to say this is the new meth, really.
What are we going to hear from law enforcement today?
You're going to hear a lot of stuff. Law enforcement can tell you that it's the new meth.
I don't know about that one. Meth heads are a different breed. Meth heads, if, you go under a bridge down here in downtown, there's a decent chance there might be someone that's ripped up on meth or crack or something to that effect right now. No one is under there because their weed addiction got out of control. Tell me you've never met a meth head without telling me you've ever met a meth head. Just compare it to weed. You ever met a meth head? You know what meth heads will do for more meth? Thank you, Garrett. Let's not get real descriptive on the air, but Garrett's right. The answer to that is anything. Absolutely. And that should scare the heck out of you. Because you look, this isn't to demean, the damage that can be done by people who make poorer choices with what they do with their recreational chemical intake. Just trying to be judicious for public consumption here. But when it comes down to it, meth is one of the worst out there. Meth will kill you. Meth is something you can OD on. Can you OD on weed? No, it doesn't happen. Meth is something that these people will do even though it rots all their teeth out. Meth is something that it'll turn you from a nice young lady to a woman who's working the streets. Or a guy, just to be fair to Garrett over there. But now, to compare it to meth, to compare THC to meth, I get the point he's trying to make. This isn't the same old weed that, you were smoking back in Woodstock, something before my time. You're not scaring anybody with this. We have half the country now that has it legalized, and they're not having the downward spiral of society collapsing that was predicted. So they're still trying to do it. Why? I don't know. Are they going to succeed? I hope not, but they might. Super disappointing when you pile that on top of the idea that most of the animating principles that drove the current majority into office are not being addressed at all. Number one, property tax relief. There's no reason you deserve this much property tax hanging over your head every month when you do your mortgage check. That should be at least $100 less, if not $200 less. I'd like to get rid of it altogether, but they're not even starting on that. And the other one, school choice, not even touching that either. Super disappointing. Well, what's the answer, James? We'll find out all the guys that are supporting this, even if they have an R next to their name. Primary them out in the next election. We have the Rhino list. If you want to get a copy of it, just let me know, james@wbap.com. That's all we can do for now. We're kind of hamstrung until the next primary races come around. And if it makes you feel any better, that's next year. I'm not going to forget it. Don't you forget it either. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch back on to the James Show. She's an immigration attorney, and I wanted to take a different angle on the immigration topic for 2025. It's been a hot one. Kate, what advice do you have for business owners, probably small business owners, who are relying on immigrants for employees, legal or illegal? What advice do you have for them in this new Trump regime?
Well, just like immigrants, people who employ immigrants need to be educated, informed, and prepared about what the rules are, what their rights are, what do they do if they get targeted. Are the I-9s up to date? Do we know how to respond if there's an on-site raid? Do we have counsel, ready to go on retainer so that if ICE shows up, we know who we're going to call? I mean, it's the same thing that an immigrant has to be doing right now in terms of knowing who the lawyer is, knowing what documents we need and how to prepare. Businesses, organizations, churches, schools, everybody else needs to be thinking about this as well, because really everyone's kind of a target right now. It's not just the immigrants themselves.
Well, if you do have a small business that employs immigrants, is there anything you can do to lessen the likelihood of a raid?
It's not easy to know who gets targeted for raids or why. Certainly people who are in sanctuary cities right now are at more risk. The big ones are Denver, Chicago, Boston, New York, Los Angeles. Smaller businesses that employ a lot of immigrants probably are at risk. And the thing to do is to make sure that everybody's properly categorized, that if you have contract workers, that they really are true contract workers, and that your employees have, properly done the I-9, you've checked the documents, everybody's got legal work permission, everything's up to speed. And one of the things that employers can do is preemptively audit themselves. contract with a lawyer, have them review all your I-9 documents, because one of the things that ICE will do, or the DOL, is they'll do what they call paper raids. So they'll go after an employer and they'll say, within 3 days' time, you have to turn over your I-9s to us. And little mistakes on these forms can result in $2,000-$3,000 fines per event. And for bigger companies, if there's repeated mistakes, they can be facing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines that can be really bad. So I think doing your own audit before you've only got 3 days to turn everything over would be wise.
Is that something you do at Lincoln Goldfinch Law?
Oh, you betcha. We certainly do.
All right. So how long does an audit take?
Well, if you have a good HR professional or a good lawyer, I mean, it really depends on the size of the team. But each document needs to be gone through and check the signature, check the date it was completed, are all of the boxes completed right. So, I mean, it really depends, but a good one for a smaller team could take several days at least.
Okay, so you've been raided. Now what? What would you recommend as an immigration attorney, Kate?
Definitely get a lawyer. Don't turn anything over before you have to. So they give you the full 3 days. If they show up on site, you don't have to turn anything over right then and there. If this is a paper raid, they're going to give you a document saying you have to turn things over in 3 days. So wait that time, contact a lawyer, do as much auditing as you can before you turn things over. Turn them over, and then you'll wait and see what the investigator says has to be repaired. And then you're in the business of trying to react and respond. And so again, it's like once it happens, you've got very little time to fix things. So beforehand is the better time. But I also think that, we're starting to see industries and employers, construction, hospitality, restaurants, landscaping, these industries are being gone after. So I do think it's helpful for these groups that have powerful lobbying interests at the Capitol, in the legislature, to start talking to our lawmakers about how we're feeling about these raids. Because if the raids are just going after the employees and the little guys, not much messaging really gets back to Congress. But once they start going after industries and business, that's when real changes can start to happen. So I think if industries, employers, businesses are worried about this, if you're part of a trade organization, start talking to your colleagues about what you can do to maybe stop this pattern.
Well, there's and been in my experience when I worked in restaurants, the owners, when they were hiring people, we suspect that they're illegals, but they had a license, they had a social security number that checked out. If ICE comes back and tells you that you've been duped by one of your employees, what kind of liability or consequences are you facing?
Yeah, I mean, if the employee has given you a fake document and it looked like a real document and you did the I-9 properly, you're not going to be liable in the same way. But if you've gotten, a no-match letter from the IRS, or you've otherwise been notified that this was a fake document and that's documented, then you're going to be facing liability. And we have seen limited, but some prosecutions against employers who knowingly, repeatedly hired undocumented lawyers. So it does create obviously civil fines and penalties, but also criminal liability. It's a dangerous thing to do. It's not recommended.
Yeah, you know what? I remember the no match letter. Like, hey, some of these social security numbers don't look right to us. What are you supposed to do when you get those as a business owner?
Well, you're not supposed to fire the employee. You're supposed to go to the employee and say, hey, we got this no match letter, and give them an opportunity to correct their data. And that's happened to me with my own employees where we had the number wrong or something like that. So they might come back and give you the right document. But if they don't, ultimately down the line, it probably will end up leading to termination if you follow things. But I think each instance, I'm not giving legal advice here over the radio. Each instance of someone who's gotten a no match letter, or they've gotten audited, or they're concerned about a particular employee, the employer needs to be talking to an employee, a lawyer who either does immigration or employment law or some blend of the two about that specific situation, because the stuff can be really nuanced and you want to make sure you have good advice.
All right. Well, good chat this time. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, I appreciate you being on the James Show again. You can find her at Lincoln Goldfinch Law. Thank you very much, Kate.
You bet. Take care.
Hunter Biden's out doing interviews again. Who told him to do that? Nobody. I bet you everyone told him not to do it. I bet no one wants Hunter Biden out there. Well, I should say no one on Team Blue wants Hunter Biden out there doing interviews. No one in Hunter Biden's family wants him doing interviews. But what does that mean? He's not good for the party. You know, everyone around him's telling him to shut up. You shouldn't go out there. What does that mean? Well, is he still working for Burisma? Is his oil and gas expertise still valued so much that he's making, I don't know, $2 million a year, whatever, $70,000 a month, whatever he was getting? Did his art career, is that not paying the bills anymore? Because he was getting, ridiculous sums. He was getting $50,000, $150,000 a painting to anonymous buyers. He was making money hand over fist, 6 figures. Is that not working out for him anymore? So what does that mean if he's not on the board of companies in China and Ukraine? What does that mean if his art career died? Does that mean his whole career wasn't based on merit and going forward he has no income? Because worst case scenario, you could see a guy like this spending through all his money and he needs money now. So how does he get money? Well, it's not through any skill of his own. It's all been through his entire life. The grift of his political connections. And so I think he's smart. He's going to go out there and he's just going to make a whole bunch of noise till someone pays him to shut up, is my theory. So he's not going out there and he's not even cussing Trump. He's not even cussing you and me. He's cussing Democrats. And there's a lot of cussing in here. Don't worry. I bleeped it all, but this is from an interview over the weekend.
Him and everybody around him. I don't have to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times to undermine the president at a time in which, by the way, what do people care about the most? Why do you think that the Republicans have an advantage over us? Because they're unified. They will go along with anything. I wasn't asking anybody to go along with anything. I was asking people to go along with this. The most successful administration in my lifetime. And I'm including the Obama administration, I'm including the Reagan administration, I'm including every administration in my lifetime. We have gotten more done for the agenda of the things that your generation and my generation cared about than any president in history. And we didn't get it all done, but more than anybody else, with the slimmest majority ever. And everybody said that there's no way that he's ever going to be able to do that. And you know what George Clooney did? Because he sat down, I guess, because he was given a blessing by the Obama team or the Obama people and whoever else, and David Axelrod and whoever the else is to go, okay, yeah, you know what? We are going to insert our judgment over yours. Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod and David Plouffe and all of these guys and the Pod Save America guys who were junior speechwriters on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40-50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times. How to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his.
Can we get more Hunter Biden in the media, please? That is fantastic. And the part I love about that is I agreed with about half of that. Most of the second half of that, I think you probably agreed with it too. Why do people listen to James Carville? What has he done since Bill Clinton's been out of the scene? What are his great skins on the wall? What is his great accomplishments? And David Plouffe and David Axelrod, yeah, they rode Obama's coattails. What have they done since then? Why are we listening to these people? Why do we listen to some of these people to begin with? I'm glad he's questioning it. Now saying his father had the most effective and successful presidency, that's pretty funny. So the greatest presidents and greatest statesmen Yeah, he passed more of these legislative accomplishments. Look, stop. Now that he's done with, and he's never going to be president again, and he's in the hindsight, we actually have a little more clear look at our previous presidents, including Joe Biden. What is his accomplishment? If you were going to write the small chapter in the history book about him 50 years from now, Joe Biden, what did he accomplish? You could say Obama released Obamacare. Man, I mean, that's something. You know, you could say Trump got the big tax cuts in 2017. I mean, I guess that's something. Biden, what was his big legislative accomplishment? The Inflation Reduction Act that had nothing to do with inflation. It was just green energy giveaways that all got repealed when the next guy got in office. There's no legacy there. The nicest thing you can say about the guy is he got us out of the Afghanistan war. He did a real sloppy job of it, left a lot of equipment behind, probably strengthened the Taliban in the process. But at least we got out. I mean, like, if you got to say something nice about him, and this guy's saying he's the most successful president, really, keep putting this guy on TV. That is so good for the cause. I thought you would get a good kick out of the Babylon Bee skit where they had a 2025 woke activist go back and try and assassinate Hitler. And she's exactly what you imagine. She's got on the nerd glasses. She's wearing the Planned Parenthood shirt and a little Palestine button on her shirt. And she's going to kill Hitler, but after a conversation, she's not so sure.
Before you pull the trigger, can I just ask why? Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades, soon we will be able to take back the White House, and we will be able to use the government to force people to follow our great ideas.
You want to use government power to force your ideas on the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. Ugh. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as, well, as Hitler. Listen, what I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for, like, graduation ceremonies. And dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I, too, am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm or is this some kind of toy for kinder?
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas, too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
No. She's a fighter for reproductive rights, for women's empowerment,
and the eradication of undesirable populations by means of eugenics. Brilliant lady, very inspiring. I must use some of her ideas in our socialized healthcare system.
Socialized healthcare? That's not your thing. That's our thing.
No, it's very much my thing. Did you know that Nazi means National Socialist German Workers' Party? Nazi is just more catchy. Nazi. Just rolls off the tongue.
No. This can't be true. This has to be some sort of mistake. We are nothing alike. You're Adolf Hitler, evil right-wing fascist dictator, and I'm a feminist restorative justice advocate. And a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian? Me too.
Okay, I am so confused right now. I came here with a clear goal in mind to kill the most evil man who I've ever lived. Besides Ronald Reagan. But now that I'm meeting you in person, you're not at all what I thought you were. And your painting is actually really good. What do you call it?
I call it Ein Reich ohne Juden.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
That's hilarious. And it's so funny because there's more than a kernel of truth to that. And so many of you dang well know it. Another great skit from the Babylon Bee. The most conformist woman in the world. You know, like the most interesting man in the world, the old Dos Equis commercial. This is the most conformist woman in the world.
She calls America evil. From her iPhone while sipping Starbucks, on an airplane, with Wi-Fi, while watching TV. She drinks oat milk because regular milk makes her feel colonial. She got 8 COVID shots, still caught it, and blamed the unvaccinated waiter. She has a Ukraine flag in her bio. She thinks Ukraine is a clothing brand. She says Black Lives Matter, but still clutches her bag in certain neighborhoods. She used to be vegan. Now she's carnivore. Depends on who she's dating. She thinks all cops are bad, then called the cops because someone wasn't wearing a mask. She says she's a feminist until she needs a jar opened. She says, trust the science, but thinks there's more than 2 genders. She got the booster, then posted a selfie with doing my part while spreading COVID in Tulum. She drinks ayahuasca for trauma she invented last year. She says she hates capitalism, but charges $499 for Zoom breathwork. She posts about toxic masculinity from her ex's apartment. She is the most conformist woman in the world.
I don't always drink, but when I do, it's from an organic coconut with a biodegradable straw. Stay obedient, my friends.
$4.99 for breath work over Zoom? That's crazy. I only charge $3.99. Bryan Adams is coming to town. His Roll with the Punches tour is hitting American Airlines Center November 13th. Special guest Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. Or if you want to try and win some tickets from us, go ahead. Text the word Adams to 800-288-9227. Text Adams to 800-288-9227. For the rest of us, livenation.com. That's going to do it for the James Show. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm about to get out of here and go put up the podcast. I'd appreciate it if you check it out sometime. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.